playing scrims with a bunch of my friends, and I cast our scrims just onto my own Twitch channel. I had like one viewer. I found it a lot of fun. So I applied for a Reddit thread for a company called European Gaming League. I started working with them alongside my long-term casting partner, Alexandre. And we were very fortunate because we kind of hit a sweet spot in the market. Stress and Pulse were leaving to work with the EU LCS, and so there weren't any good casters in the UK. Cast a bunch of stuff in the UK, started doing it, like traveling to some international events. This was all part-time while I was studying medicine. And then I quit for about 8 months to focus on my studies, finish med school, started working as a doctor and really didn't enjoy it. So then last August I quit to become a full-time Shotcaller, and now I'm here.
The selfie might fall here to Mini Triple as well as a shutdown. It's going to be an ace. Vitality, Jinsuke, they stop H2K. They get drills behind him. Hema playing Samux. They're looking for the kill. Steelback's going to jump across as well, but Samux surviving. Steelback, so aggressive. They get the kill. They get two. Oh my goodness! Luke Duck gets nuked by Perks. Tower continues to be taken by H2K. They'll secure it with the smite, and here comes Shevin. He wants to take this kill onto Jinsuke, but Jinsuke puts him in his place. Takes him down now. Is on Jizuki and Kabashot, the two carries to take all of H2K. Realm Warp in. Are they going to chase? They're looking.
Hi, my name's Medic Chamberlain, and this is how I became a caster. For most people, I was born in a place in England called Birmingham. It's a bit of a rough place. People have Brummie accents. It's not a very good accent, so I'm quite glad I haven't got that one. I moved to Denmark when I was 2. I lived near Copenhagen for about 3 years, and then I moved to England again to a place called Norwich. Stayed there for about 5 years, and then I moved out to India when I was 10. Lived there until I was 18, until I finished high school, came back to England to do med school, and now I live in Germany. I used to play on the PlayStation, the first edition. Played Actua Soccer with my dad, which is one of the worst designed football games known to man. So like, if you ran up to the byline, the end line, and then crossed it, it would always go into the goal. So like, we had to have a rule in the house where we ban that, because otherwise it's like 3 goals. So I played that. I used to play things like The Sims and Age of Empires and stuff as well, but I was never really into the traditional gaming things. I've never played Final Fantasy. People always bring up like the classics, like Donkey Kong. Never played Donkey Kong. Played a little bit of GoldenEye, but I've never done the story. Like, I was never into traditional games that you see people in esports having been into. I played Pokemon, but my mum was very against it. She's very Christian, and she thought that Pokemon had like demonic images and stuff in it, so I wasn't allowed to play it. It's the same with Harry Potter. I wasn't allowed to read Harry Potter. So what I used to do to read Harry Potter is I would have my study folder in front of my, I'd be lying in my bed, I'd have my study folder open, and then I'd have Harry Potter inside it, and my mom would like knock on the door, and I'd hide the Harry Potter really quickly and just be reading out of my folder. So yeah, I did read them all, but it took me a while. I know League of Legends was my first esports game, really. I mean, FIFA, I played FIFA and Pro Evolution Soccer, but before they were esports. And then I played League of Legends because my flatmate at uni told me to play it, so I was about 18. And I tried it out, thought it was shit, stopped playing it, came back about a year later and started playing again, and really enjoyed it. And since then, like, just grown and grown. I like watching the best players play things. I'm a very big sports fan: football, rugby, golf, tennis, anything. And so it's just grown from there. I think I was always going to get into competitive gaming after I started playing games. I think I started off wanting to be a doctor when I was about 5. Like, it's always been something that has been almost imbued in me, like a calling. It's like I feel like, one of those guys who picks Excalibur out of the stone. It's like, this is my destiny now. I must be a doctor. I think part of it is that my mum was quite sick when I was young. She had breast cancer, and I think that being exposed to hospitals and to doctors and to see the care and the attention that they put into looking after people was inspiring to me. It was something I always wanted to do. Even after she died, I was really very much about wanting to pursue that lifestyle and to help people. Like, that's what my passion is. My passion is to show people the joy that I have in my life and like to give that back. And whether that's treating someone or whether that's casting a game really well and providing entertainment, that's the balance I'm finding at the moment, because I don't think you easily forget how much something meant to you. And being a doctor meant a lot to me. And I do still have times when I regret leaving. It's not easy. Like, everyone knows it's not easy to be a doctor. Everyone knows, like, you work long hours and you have to deal with sick people, and you have, in the UK, you have a lot of pressures on your time and your budget, and you know, an average day, you'd leave work 3 hours late. And like, I can deal with that. I'm a hard worker. I can deal with like actually doing the hours. But this is probably going to get a bit graphic, and I apologize. But this is me showing why it was so tough. I had a patient who I was on a weekend, and like you're on call, you're covering a bunch of wards. You're the only junior doctor, like, or one of two, covering a few hundred patients. And we had a crash call about 11, 12 o'clock in the morning. And a crash call is when someone's dying, basically. Either they're dead, their heart stops, and you have to try and bring it back, or they're about to be dead. So you go sprinting. I sprint the length of the hospital, probably about half a mile or so. And I see this guy, like 80, 90 years old, lying on a bed in a ward where people aren't well. Like they're old, they're probably going to die soon. And I jump on his chest, and I start doing chest compressions. And I can feel his ribs breaking under my fingers. And then, like, you keep going because you know that's what you've got to do, and you've got to try and bring him back. And then, you know, he starts vomiting because he can't control it. There's poo on the bed, and it broke me. It totally. The fact that I had to do that to a guy who deserved dignity and deserved respect, it changed me. And there were lots of instances like that. It's not just the one, but I couldn't put myself through that. And I know that a lot of people will say that that is me copping out, and that I'm not hard enough, and that I don't have the emotional fortitude or integrity to do it, and I've wasted taxpayers' money, and they're right, you know, that's fine. But I had to make a decision for me, and leaving medicine is probably the best thing I've done. It's fucking tough.
Deficio, look at this bot wave. You should TP and get in
I
here.
know, it's a big wave.
TP and get in here right now. TP and get in
But
here.
if you...
Deficio.
That's not a bad call. I wait for it to hit the tower.
Oh, they're not gonna hit or
Oh, they're all going tower.
Yeah,
Sejuani's on red.
TP now.
let's go, baby. Hold this up.
Oh, they counter TP. You're gonna get it. Deficio, let's go. Oh my god.
I'm gonna finish this game, man. Fucking stop the recall.
I'm trying, man.
No, but someone recalled, no? Oh no, Muna's still there.
No, they're all here.
Yeah, you guys need to push mid.
Finish the game.
Hey, did you have TP?
I don't have TP now.
Okay, Vedis, you and me, we gotta chase this.
We
I'm
gotta stop,
gonna
we
kill
gotta stop
myself. I'm gonna kill myself. Okay, they turned.
Well, that's a bit.
Lux is gonna get back.
That's a bit
Oh,
hard.
Vedis stopped him.
I stopped him. Oh my god, do it, Division. Just fucking go.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
Muna cannot kill him. Muna cannot kill
Oh,
him.
Mundo's there. They're pushing
Muna
fine
cannot
in
kill
here.
you. Muna cannot kill you.
I'm on it.
Oh fuck.
No, I don't think we got it.
Holy
Oh,
I'm stalling Zillion's back.
Please.
Let's go!
I think there's probably 3 reactions that I have. So my dad is an incredibly supportive man. Like, he always has been. He's always wanted the best for me, and he was supportive in this as well. He said, you know, if you've thought about it, if this is what you want to do, then you do it, because I think he trusts my decision making, and he trusts my process. Part of it as well is, like, we are quite far apart. He still lives in India, so it's the way that our relationship is molded is more into, I will make a decision for myself. I'll tell him it's what I'm doing, and then he'll say, cool, I support you in that. I think a lot of people with their family still have a relationship that is, help me with this decision, and that's not the way that we converse anymore. He was very supportive with it all, though, and I love him for it, and I love him dearly anyway. My grandmother was like, what's esports? I have no idea what esports is. She still thinks I commentate on chess. So I'm going to leave that one, because I don't think we're ever going to win that battle. But chess is a good thing to commentate on, right? Knight to rook 4, that sort of stuff. But yeah, she was obviously very worried, and keeps asking me, was asking me, will I go back to medicine? Do I want to go back? And I'd say, this is the decision I've made. This is why I've made it. And slowly, we're getting there. My girlfriend was... See, it's a bit difficult, because I don't want to say she wasn't supportive, because she was supportive. But she definitely struggled with the idea of me not having a career that was stable in her mind. It wasn't an easy decision to make, and when I told her, we had tears, we had a long discussion about the whole thing, and she's here today, which is incredible, but she now realizes that this isn't something that's fleeting. It's not just like I am an impulsive person. So she, I think, originally thought, oh, you know, he's got this one opportunity, he's being impulsive. But she realizes that there is a career here, and there's a life for me here, and there's something that is stable and that she can visualize, which helps her a huge amount. And she, after beginning to realize that, has supported me no end. Like, the amount of shit she's gone through to let me do what I wanted to do, and the amount of time she's come home and I've been like, oh, I've had a really tough day, I had to cast 4 games. She's been like, well, I worked for 12 hours in a hospital, so... But no, she's just incredibly supportive, and I am so lucky to have her. But at the start, it's never going to be easy to make that big of a change. So people don't always react the way that you would want them to react. I really only got my esports passion during university. So it had been, I'd done a lot of events in the UK, and I'd worked with like Stress and Pulse and with Alexandre, and I talked with Quickshot, but he'd always been like this, you know, deity figure, like Quickshot to Fisher, you can't get near that sort of level. And I kind of lost the passion for a short while, or I pushed the passion back for a short while because I wanted to complete med school, and then I kept getting opportunities to cast. People kept asking me, oh, you know, are you free this weekend? Can you do this weekend? And I kept doing it, and just every time I did it, I felt more at home and I felt more comfortable, and it was just always the thing that you could go back to. And I started wanting the weekends to be longer, and I got the opportunity to stop my job and to go freelance working with Super Evil Megacore, who make Vainglory. Basically, they said, you know, we have enough work for you, and I said, okay, that's enough for me to live off from a year, so I'm going to do that. And I took the plunge, and it's just amazing. I wouldn't change it for the world. Vedius and I hit a really good sweet spot. Like, there is still a lot of work to do on that synergy and that relationship, and there's parts of my personality that he doesn't like, and there's parts of his personality that I don't like, and it's finding that balance. You know, when you set up as casters, you have to remember that I'm very playful, but he's a lot better at coming up with playful things, so it's working together, that sort of thing. But yeah, we just got very lucky. I think sometimes you hit it off with someone straight away, and that's exactly what's happened. I don't think we're anywhere near Quickshot Deficio level, but thank you very much for the compliment. I think give us another year or so, and we'll be challenging for the top spots, but not right yet now. Like, it's still an adjustment period, because I'm still working out what it's like to cast every week. Like, when I was in the EU LCS last split, I was 4 weeks out of the 10 that I came across and cast. Yes, I was doing Challenger Series, but that's for about 5 weeks long. I definitely think I'm part of the team and I'm part of the community around the European LCS, but there's a lot of stuff I still want to do, and there's a lot of work I still want to put in. Because when you get at home, sometimes you get a bit complacent. And this feels to me more like I'm at home in Berlin, but the EU LCS is my battleground. Like, this is where I'm going to come and strut my stuff and show off a little bit, and that's what I want to do.